SimCity 2013 was one of the worst game releases of all time, and the launch of Cities Skylines 2 is honestly uncomfortably reminding me of it a lot. Now, to be clear, I haven't played Cities Skylines 2 yet myself. I probably will on this channel soon, but obviously from other people, the game itself isn't as bad as SimCity 2013, so that's not what I'm saying. Clearly, it's not going to be as bad as SimCity 2013 was at release with their ridiculously tiny cities and always online mode only. That's not what I'm saying. There's still a lot about how the launch is going that reminds me of how SimCity's launch went, from delaying the console versions out until 2024, not having mod support ready at release, and not being able to use the Steam Workshop ever, only using Paradox's mod manager, who knows how that'll be, hand waving away bugs as gameplay features, I guess, and of course the insane PC requirements to play Cities Skylines 2. A lot of people who want to play Cities Skylines 2 just aren't going to be able to. For SimCity 2013, it was because of their servers. For Cities Skylines 2, it's because of the performance. Again, no matter what, it'll still be a better game than SimCity 2013, obviously, but as far as launches go, all I'm saying is, if there's any other developers looking to take over the city building genre, like Cities Skylines did almost a decade ago, there's probably an opening here. I'll cover more of a why I don't love how they're handling this launch as a fan of Cities Skylines, and what's reminding me a lot of how universally badly SimCity 2013's launch went, after I tell you about a fantastic deal you can get today from NordVPN, who sponsored this video. Having a good VPN is critical for protecting you and your data online, both from malicious trackers on the internet trying to sell your data and stuff. It's also really important to shield your data from your internet service provider, who, among other things, can even throttle your internet speed based on what you're doing online. Watching too much YouTube? Nope. Buffering time. But not anymore with NordVPN. NordVPN is the best VPN on the market, and with connection speeds as fast as over 6,000 megabits per second, unlimited bandwidth, and high-speed servers in over 60 countries, you can be completely sure you'll never be without a safe, encrypted, stable connection, no matter where you are online. And now for Black Friday, you can get 69% off, nice, and 3 extra months by getting NordVPN for a limited time only. Follow the link in the description and protect your data online today. Just to start, however this video may come off, this is not a video criticizing the developers or even the game itself. It's very clear they've made this game with a ton of love, and the developers have really tried to improve a lot of aspects of it from Cities Skylines 1. The people who worked on this game really want it to be great, and I still think ultimately it can, and probably will be, assuming nothing goes wrong. Just check out this series of videos. It's been put out by the developers for the past while, and it's all about how they've improved basically every aspect of the game from Cities Skylines 1. From the small to the huge details, basically building it from the ground up based on what they know works and trying to improve it basically everywhere they can, which is all great. Going forward, the game will probably be good eventually. Just like with any other Paradox game, I suppose. It either gets good after a year or gets canceled. Dun 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 dun. Blah. My worry for this game is pretty much just with the launch and what people's impressions of the game are now and leading up to its release. As this article from VG247 says, Cities Skylines 2 devs may as well be asking people not to play it at launch. As someone who now makes videos on Paradox games and who also lived through the shared trauma of the release of SimCity 2013, I think we all know that all it takes is one bad launch to completely tank your game for the long run, no matter if you eventually get it right and add in offline support or not. For some background for me, Cara, I love the original Cities Skylines. I have a bunch of hours in it, along with like 1,000 mods constantly installed at any given time. It's legit one of my favorite games ever, and I was excited as anyone else was when they announced Cities Skylines 2, a sequel for one of my favorite games. This is gonna be great. I trust the developers, everything like that. What's funny is that I'm still even excited for the game itself, even if I know the game's gonna take a while before it gets good. But I was also really excited for SimCity 2013 as a kid. I bought it on day one and I was really excited to try it out before, finding out I couldn't play it. And so that experience of buying a game that you're excited for, playing it, and then realizing that whether it's the servers or whether it's just huge performance issues, that really ruins a launch. That's exactly the thing that I'm trying to get at here. It's kind of giving me a sense of dread just hearing how many disappointments are coming out around the launch of this game, how much disappointing news is coming out about it. Despite the fact that you can still pre-order it for $49.99 or $89.99 USD if you're going for the Ultimate Edition, whatever that means. And despite the random skycraning YouTuber stunt they pulled off a while ago to promote it too. Like, why? I think the reason why I'm getting the same sort of vibes as SimCity 2013 and its release is that it feels like the publisher, in this case Paradox, please don't be mad at me, are ultimately holding it back in a similar sort of way that SimCity 2013 was by its publisher. And it comes from the attitude of ignoring what people really wanted to do with their game and how they wanted to play it and the sort of experiences they wanted to have in the name of innovation. Where with SimCity 2013, it was things like a ridiculous always online as a requirement strategy, which literally prevented most people from being able to play it for a while. And then it was like radio silence for a year or two until the one and only DLC, Cities of Tomorrow, came out and the offline update with it, which by then the game series was already dead. With Cities Skylines 2, while it's not to the same degree as ridiculously, obviously bad, it has the same attitude of going against the grain of what the fans of Cities Skylines actually want out of their game and how people would want to play it. When Cities Skylines released, it promoted itself as the savior of the city building genre, and it was so proud to show off how mods were completely unrestrictedly supported and how you could build anywhere you wanted to across this huge custom landscape. Everything was editable, everything was tweakable and modifiable. It was fantastic to see that sort of attitude with Cities Skylines 2, in contrast to that same sort of attitude they had about it all those years ago. Here's some news about their mods. For one, you won't be able to use the Steam Workshop. You can only use Paradox's mod manager tool, which is legit pretty annoying, not a deal breaker, but it makes it more of a hassle to actually get your mods for your games all in one place, especially if you're already using Steam. I can even kind of get why they're trying to get people to use Paradox's mod manager too, as it'll let you use mods even on console or with different game platforms outside of Steam, like on Game Pass or whatever. But at the same time, less people are going to want to use it, just straight up. It clamps down on it a lot. And for 2, mods won't even be officially supported at release. It's going to come later in a mod-focused update, quote unquote, sometime after release, however long that's gonna be. That's disappointing on its own, and a personal sore spot, again, as someone who loves using all sorts of different mods to do crazy things like this. I'm sure a lot of the improvements of Cities Skylines 2 supersede a lot of the mods that we would have wanted to download, but still, they could have done better. Maybe if the developers were given more time, like they were for the console release. I'm still not sure why Paradox is obviously recognizing that the game needs more work only for the console version until spring 2024, when for PC they're okay putting it out just as it is. I think the developers would prefer to, and it's just Paradox probably jeopardizing the developers even, in the same sort of way that the SimCity 2013 developers were forced to with EA beyond their own wishes. All of the reviews I've looked at have said some extent of the same thing. It'll be great eventually, but for right now, basically an early access game with poor performance, confusing bugs, and insane PC requirements even at a minimum. I sincerely doubt that most people who are gonna want to play Cities Skylines 2 even have 3080s, you know? I sure don't. I guess their explanation is Cities Skylines 2 is a next generation title and therefore has certain hardware requirements. And sure, whatever you say. I'm obviously teasing about that. Like, don't get me wrong, the game looks fantastic. Again, none of the developers' fault. I'm sure the game will be great in the future too. It's very pretty, but in Cities Skylines 1 with a bunch of mods, I feel like I'm pretty sure you can get at least 80 to 90% of this type of graphical quality, and with way more content and performance out of it too. So why would people buy this game, especially at release? If you're thinking of getting Cities Skylines 2, honestly, what I would recommend is only if you meet the PC requirements, and even then still expect it to be bare bones, buggy, poor performance. Like, unfortunately, that's just how it's looking. Otherwise, like, you might just try it, realize it doesn't run that well on your computer, and then either go for a refund or just like forget about it altogether. Even if some people do buy it despite all of the flaws and the developers basically saying don't buy this at release, how many of them are you going to be able to convince to come back back after you fix the original performance issues, if it is something that you can fix in the future. For SimCity 2013, the problem was always not being able to get in because the servers were always down. For Cities Skylines 2, somehow it might be even worse because its poor performance is probably somewhere deeper in the game. Like, it has to do with the engine and all of the code on top of it. That feels like a deeper problem to me. Ultimately, as we saw for SimCity 2013, once a game has a bad launch, unless you're literally No Man's Sky somehow, it's really hard to come back from that broken trust precipice. And if it's the same sort of conditions that led to the rise of Cities Skylines, who's to say it couldn't happen again with some other game series? While I hope Paradox actually doesn't get too mad at me for making this video, I still like their games and stuff, of course, and a bunch of people over there. Really, if it was me, I would just delay the PC version until it was actually ready. I feel like I'm a parrot. I'm telling you what I'm worried about out of love. Heed my warning. Maybe I'm wrong too, though. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Feel free to give me your own opinions as far as Cities Skylines 2 and its launch goes. I will still, in all likelihood, be playing Cities Skylines 2 on this channel sometime soon, regardless, if my PC can run it. It's just giving me SimCity vibes. And if you were thinking of buying it at release, I don't know. I would just make sure you're sure, you know? Anyways, that's all I have to say. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to the channel members and stuff too. I really appreciate the support, and